Hello, 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 everybody, and thank you for tuning in to yet another Zoomin with Zack. I guess I'm really official. We're past 20 episodes. This is episode 21, so another little milestone. And guys, I got so many people on the list. Like I got 100 episodes planned out. So super excited for you to tune in, connect with some great people. Quote that I have for today is from Bob Berg. He's the author of The Go-Giver, which is an awesome book. I live by this, even though I kind of lived by this before I read the book, but now I put a lot of things into context for me. But it's your true worth is determined by how much you give in value than you take in payment. So, folks, definitely think about that. It actually resonates a lot with my guest today. But again, super glad to have you. Make sure you're liking, sharing the show, and let's get into it. Zoom in with Zack. Welcome, folks, to another episode of Zoom In with Zack. Super excited to have you guys today. I'm testing out a new webcam, so I'm going to need feedback if the picture looks good. I feel like the color is a little off, so I will be perfecting that, but this is day one, and, I'm going through the experience with you, so by all means, give me some feedback. But for those who are watching on LinkedIn or on the Mighty Philly Facebook page, please make sure you are sharing this link, and, of course, commenting and engaging. Love to have that all the time, and I got an awesome dude with me today, so, it's very important you get the word out. Because if you don't know him, you're going to want to know him after this. Super excited to have my friend and an awesome entrepreneur and philanthropic juggernaut. I'm coming up with all these words on the spot here, buddy. My man, Nick Bayer. Welcome to the show, Nick.
What's up, Zach? I appreciate all of those cool words, and man, that intro was very cool. I gotta say, I like that music, man. Multi-talented.
I do a lot, man. I'm a Zack of all trades, so
you are.
But super happy to have you on, Nick. I know you're always busy doing some amazing things with your company, Saxbys Coffee. First off, if folks haven't tried Saxbys Coffee, get to a shop. It's delicious. It's amazing. And of course, they make so many other awesome treats and goodies there as well. But I wanted you to give people a little bit of background, how you ended up getting into creating Saxbys Coffee.
Yeah, absolutely, Zach. I mean, it's a long process, like any entrepreneurial venture is. Rarely does someone come up with an idea, jump into it, and it works exactly as you thought it was going to work. Oftentimes, it's just a series and years of pivots, and mine is no different. But I think there is one sort of common thread with successful entrepreneurs, and it's that they do something that they are like personally aligned to, that it's not about like just waking up and just trying to get on the grind to make as much money as you possibly can. If you don't love what you do, as I like to say, if what you're trying to accomplish and why you're doing it doesn't make your heart race, you're going to get worn out. Like you're going to get worn out. People are going to see through it. You're not going to be as successful as you could be if you're doing something that's like, makes your heart race. Your mind and heart are fully aligned. And so for me, Saxbys is a we're a very entrepreneurial business, but we're an opportunity and education company. We're not a coffee company. We always have been a business that's been very, very focused on leveraging education to provide people opportunities to do things that they love to do. We just happen to use the platform and the business model of a quote unquote coffee shop or a cafe to be able to provide those opportunities to people. And so, for me, I'm a first generation college student. My parents were young when they had me, didn't get an opportunity to get their college degree, and they took whatever jobs that they could get because they had they had to put food on the table, they had to put a roof over the head. Mm-hmm. And they've worked hard their entire careers, but in a unfulfilling manner because they weren't doing what made their heart race. And so they really impressed upon me and then my little brother to get our education because they felt like that was the way to get closer to figuring out and having the opportunity to do what you love to do. And it worked for me. I got my education. It gave me an opportunity to take a job that I liked originally out of school, and then to be able to take a risk. To be able to start your own business is so incredibly risky. But I never second guessed it because I always knew that I was going to have my degree to fall back on. The fact that I had this college degree, and I've always believed that if you're an entrepreneur, even if you're a failed entrepreneur, we're all failed entrepreneurs in some form or fashion, but even if you're a failed entrepreneur, that's the best resume builder you can get. So if you are an attempted entrepreneur plus a college degree, man, you are really, really well set up. So that's why I had, I think, the courage to be able to try this thing out. But 15 years later, we're still kicking it. We're getting better every day. We're impacting people's lives every day. We continue to grow, and I get to do things like this, like hang out with my boy Zack, on his podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome, and we go way back. I think we met. I think it could have been Wayne Kimmel's backyard. I know we thought that might be where we met, but I almost feel like we've done some things that predate that. So I really have no clue. Whoever might have been the person that connected us, shout out to you, and don't get mad at us for forgetting. But you've been so generous in anything that I've asked for, whether it be when I did the Stomp the Runway fashion show and we needed help getting the word out. I said, "Can I put some stuff in your coffee stores?" You're like, "Yep, drop them off. We'll put them in the stores and get it out there." We've even done my sports show, Trust the Process, from your office, which is, by the way, the sickest office in Philly. If you guys haven't seen the Saxbys tasting room, like, it's insane. I was not even a coffee lover before that, but now I'm like, oh, I appreciate coffee in this world. Like, it opened my eyes. But you even let us do our sports broadcast from there. So I appreciate your generosity. Like, where does that come from? Like, you seem to, like I said, I had that go-giver quote at the beginning because you really resonate or represent that, in my opinion. Like, what kind of instilled that in you?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a great question. I love the Go-Giver book. Obviously, I love that quote. Look, I think generosity is hardwired into all of us. I think it's an innate state for all of us. But I think that either the world sort of beats it out of us, or people second guess it and think that the way to get ahead is to hustle harder and throw elbows and try to get in front of people. Right. But for me, though, I think there's two things. One, I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for the generosity of other people, particularly coaches and teachers who went out of their way to either help me catch up in school or put in good words for me or just sort of hold me accountable. And I remember, when I was 22, freaking out about what I was going to do, after I graduated college. I called some of those coaches and teachers, and I remember hearing them in very similar manners talk about why they went into coaching and teaching, which was to impact people's lives like they did with me, and hearing that like sincerity and hearing that, happiness and contentness with what they were doing, that I started to realize, and I certainly realize now many years later, that we're at our happiest when we're doing things for other people, So watching you film your show in here, knowing that Stomp the Runway was better because you got more people in there because you threw a bunch of, sheets in my cafes, makes me feel good, and it is human nature to do things in your own self-interest. It just so happens that when you put other people's interests at your, if not a front of your level, you're going to impact a lot of people's lives, and it's going to make you that much happier. So I think it's been an iterative thing as to how I've learned it, but I've had a lot of really good sort of teachers and mentors in my life, and I've seen this firsthand. Like, it's cool to be able to be on your podcast. It's cool to hear what you think of me and what you think of my business as a result. And I think that's the proof in the pudding.
Awesome. Well said, man. Well said. Now, I want to chat a little bit about what you've been doing with some of these colleges, because I feel like Temple might have been the first. So go Owls. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a video we'll play from your site first to give people a little bit of a look into this experiential learning program that Saxbys has developed. So folks, check this out.
I wake up every day ready to make life better. I'm Megan, a junior in college with a marketing major. I'm the Student Cafe Executive Officer of the Saxbys at my campus cafe. I make hundreds of decisions, both big and small, while building this community that thrives on kindness. Each day, I serve myself by serving others, serving my team of 50 peers while running a bustling Saxbys cafe, gaining the experience to learn what it takes to lead a successful business. We're proud to be a community serving our community, providing guests with a rave-worthy menu and the perfect place to enjoy it. I'm a full-time student and entrepreneur, fully responsible for building this profitable business with pride, passion, and purpose. All along the way, Saxbys champions my education and opportunity, giving me real-world experience, like analyzing and communicating my cafe's status, profits, and losses to be exact, so I can use these skills to become the future leader I am meant to be. And I'm just getting started.
Super awesome.
How great is that video?
That
I
was
love that
awesome.
video. I've probably seen that thing a thousand times.
I'm a video snob, so when I watch a video, I'm looking for issues and things. I was like, this is really well done. Okay, Nick, I like it.
I have nothing to do with why it's so good. I just, I just work for the company that's brand is on it. But I think it's amazing.
Now tell me this: I saw some Nick Bayer like GQ poses, like there were some shots in there. I was like, okay, I think Nick might have said, make sure you get this angle in here. Like, was it that, or did they like Nick?
No, it's funny. I was actually very uninvolved in the sort of like the creation of the video. Like I asked to have a video created. It was sort of like a student CEO hype video. It's 90 seconds long. We wanted it to be upbeat. We wanted to be very focused on our people, particularly our student CEO, and how this experience is a career development opportunity. Like that's what I really wanted. But then I got out of it, like that would happen to be, that footage was just in all of our student CEOs presented a profit and loss statement to my executive team. That happened to be one of those presentations. And, they chose to, I guess, zero in on me right there for my quick cameo. But, otherwise I'm glad that I was a super, super small part of it, because it was about that former student CEO who was in there is Megan Tezick, who was just a fantastic student CEO from Saxbys Millersville University.
Gotcha. Now, tell me a little bit about the program. You guys have Saxbys operating inside of colleges. There's a picture of the Temple one here. And you have students run it, and they're learning how to run a business through Saxbys, right?
Yeah. So what these experiential learning cafes are, there are about 14 of them. That's LaSalle University you got up on the screen right now. That was Temple Fox School of Business. And then there's St. Joe's University here in Philadelphia. So we've got 14 of these now, opening another one next week, another one 2 weeks after that, about 15 on pace for next year. These are partnerships at the highest level of each and every one of our universities. So our initial meeting is usually with the president or the chancellor. And then we work with the highest academic folks, the provost, the deans of the business program, to be able to build a partnership that's unlike anything else that exists. Essentially what we do is we work with the leadership of the universities to allow undergraduate students to be able to design their own Saxbys, and then they exclusively run it for full academic credit and full wages. And so what that turns into is what you see in the video, what you see in those pictures. These are really cool, all uniquely designed cafes, again, designed by young people, that are tremendously dynamic places. They're so busy that the student CEO oftentimes manages about 50 of their peers, and they have upwards of $1 million profit and loss statements. So someone told me a stat that less than 2% of all U.S. businesses do over $1 million in revenue. Our student CEOs are running a top 2% business before they even have their college degree, before they're oftentimes even old enough to be able to legally drink alcohol. They're running businesses where they manage 50 people, have $1 million profit and loss statement, come into my headquarters and present their profit and loss statement, do press media, they do all kinds of different stuff. And what we're doing it for, to my earlier point in this, is not to create the next generation of coffee entrepreneurs, not even to create the next generation of food and beverage entrepreneurs. Although after this experience, you're ready to go. You're ready to go run anything at that point. What we're trying to do is we're trying to help facilitate the classroom experience, or the quote unquote theory in the education, and provide the practice to it. But we're doing it by teaching young people how to be civic-minded entrepreneurial leaders, agnostic of industry. That's what we're trying to do. So when we can partner with our great universities, and they can continue to teach the theory, and then the students can get the experience through the practice of running their own business, the ups, the downs, the good days, the bad days. These are really holistically prepared young people to go into a rapidly changing workforce and a rapidly changing economy. So that's what we're doing.
Gotcha. So I love that. Awesome. I kind of wish it was there when I was at Temple. And before we jump into 3 random questions, because we got to do that, I know that you guys are really unique. You're a B Corp. And I think a lot of people out there aren't too familiar with what that means. Could you give us a quick explanation of what a B Corp is?
Yeah, I appreciate the question too, Zach, because a huge part of us choosing to go through the process and then ultimately certifying as a B Corp is to be a loud cheerleader for it, is to get people to know it, because the B Corp certification is new. I think it's only about 10 or 11 years old at this point, but it is rapidly growing, and its future is super bright. And the reason for that is this. over the last 18 months, give or take, obviously we have been in tremendous turmoil, not only globally, but certainly in this country, dealing with racial injustice, obviously dealing with COVID, dealing with voting, dealing with all kinds of like climate change. Like we're dealing with so many things right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, where I think we're seeing a lot of this uprisal is, the role of business in all of this, is like in this country and probably every country, like you need to work to live, and the businesses and the people that work for those businesses pay taxes to be able to take care of people that are either incapable of working or don't work or too old to work. And so business is at the center of all this. And as the people who have essentially created capitalism, the US, I think most of us would agree that we've created a capitalism that's working for some and not working for a lot of others. And is starting to really destroy this earth, the only one that we have. And so these guys who created, you would know this probably with all your basketball stuff and all of your sort of pop culture knowledge, but do you remember And One?
Yeah.
So the guys who created And One were hugely successful, sold the business for a few $100 million to a private equity group who then within 2 years ran it into the ground, fired everyone, closed the business, and just burned a ton of different vendors. It was like poor capitalism 101. And these guys had a lot riding on their conscience, and B, a lot of money. And they said, you know what, there's got to be a better way. And so using their own money and their own connections, they eventually created B Lab, which is the organization, the third-party nonprofit that certifies B Corps. And essentially what it is like you can't open up the Wall Street Journal today and not see pages upon impactful businesses, ESG businesses, environmental, social governance. The idea of like, what is a business doing besides generating profit to either make the world a better place or make it a worse place? And we need some measurement to be able to figure out, because there's a lot of talk out there. There's a lot of big banks, a lot of big other organizations that talk a really good game because they have the money to do it. They can control the airwaves.
Right.
But they're actually not doing it. They're greenwashing things. And so Certified B Corp is pretty much the only third-party, unbiased, measured manner with which a business is, torn apart and evaluated on your environmental footprint, your social footprint, your governance footprint. And then you're measured against these like really, really high standards. And if you are sort of the best of the best, you get bestowed upon this notion that you're a certified B Corp. And I'll tell you this, Zach, you know me a long time. Like, I wanted to sit with the B Corp people and tell them my personal story and talk my way into a B Corp. And they pretty much kicked me out of the first meeting. And we're like, there's no talking your way into being a certified B Corp. And so all my people then kicked me out of the meeting. They ran with it because you could say one thing. This is about what do you actually do. So it is a tremendous accomplishment for us to be a certified B Corp, because it is always what I and what everybody else has actually wanted to do with our business. But B, it's also the future business. This is what consumers want. This is what the next generation of the workforce wants, is they want to work for a business that's making the world a better place, not a worse place. Certified B Corp is the way to prove there are companies that are actually doing that.
Wow, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. I was thinking about earlier about how I was going to be able to cut some clips out of this episode. That B Corp explanation, we're going to have to cut that and get that out to a lot of folks. I think that's very, very important. So now I don't really say it's my favorite part of the show. I love it, but I can't say it's my favorite because usually we have such great conversations. But probably I'll call it the only segment of the show. It's our random questions. So here I need you to give me a 3-digit number. None of the numbers can be the same. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions that go along with those numbers. So what is your lucky 3-digit number today, man?
Let's go with 369.
Now, I got to ask you, is there a reason you chose 369? Does that resonate with you the other way?
You know what? 6 is my number. That was always my sports number, and so 6 is my number. And so I figured I'd cut it in half and add 50% to it, and we get to 369.
I gotcha. It was making me think of some rap lyrics, but I won't go there today.
Yeah.
So let's go 3. Looking ahead, what's something major you hope to accomplish in the next 2 years?
Oh man, that's a good question. So the next 2 years,
and it can be personal, it can be business, it can be whatever you choose to bring in.
So I'm really on a mission, like coming off of that sort of B Corp question. I'm really on a mission to prove that impactful businesses can be equally financially successful, because the knock on impactful businesses over the history of time has been like, you can only do one, you can't do them both. Meaning you can be profitable, but you can't be impactful. Or if you're going to be impactful, you can't be profitable. And by profitable, essentially meaning like have outsized value sort of in the marketplace. And I think over the next 2 years, it would be a tremendous accomplishment. And honestly, it's my expectation that Saxbys is an absolute leader in the high value, high respect B Corp mission, and that the amount of B Corps has grown, materially, call it 3, 4, 5-fold over the next 2 years. And that Saxbys and podcasts and all these different ways that we're helping proselytize this, but showing that this is the right way to build a business. That would be something major for us.
Awesome. All righty, let's go to number 6. What skill set did you gain or improve during the quarantine?
Yeah, I mean, man, this has been quite a time, and it's like it's almost like, are we done with the quarantine right now or not? It's sort of going on and on and on. One thing that I will say, I really think I improved upon quite a bit in the quarantine is cutting off my connection to electronics when it's not necessary for me to be on them. I think that's been, and that sounds like such a trite small thing, but man, these things are so damn addicting that it's so hard to not just be scrolling through Instagram, to be checking email, to like see what comments are on LinkedIn. It is really hard to do.
Right.
But like, we have so finite amount of time on this planet. I have such finite amount of time with my wife and my son, or with my people that I work with at Saxbys, that like the fact that I can leave that thing in another room, that I turn it off, pretty much from I don't turn it off, but I keep it away from me, after dinner and first thing in the morning, I think has been a skill set that I think is really, really important. Like being present with other human beings, especially because we have so much technology around us now. Being present with other human beings is something that is becoming increasingly undervalued, but is actually so important.
Right. I'm right in that same boat with you. I'm kind of forced into using my phone due to having some clients I manage social for, but like I try to get it off, especially after a certain time of night. Like I could spend hours just scrolling and
endless.
So that's a good one. Last question for you before we get out of here. Number 9. What's one of the biggest hurdles you've overcome or didn't overcome, and what have you learned from it?
Man, these are some great questions.
You pick good numbers. You pick some deep ones.
Biggest hurdles you've overcome or didn't overcome, and what have you learned from it? I would say, I love to talk about entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur in residence at a few different universities, focused sort of teaching entrepreneurship. And I think the best way oftentimes to teach entrepreneurship is not through always the success stories, but like, what were those really critical failures, and how did you keep them from being failures that sank the boat, and instead turning them into ones, where you built a better boat? And for me, that was, Saxbys for many years was a franchise business, and we were like just mired in mediocrity for all of those years. We couldn't be as mission centric as we needed to be. We weren't operating cafes ourselves, so we had no real vested interest in making the operation and the products better. Like we were just honestly the definition of mediocrity. It was a huge hurdle to turning the corner. Like we were successful because we were alive and we were sort of growing slightly.
Yeah.
But like, I knew that was a massive hurdle to us ever doing what we could do, and certainly what I wanted to be able to accomplish with my career. And so overcoming that has been massive for us. And honestly, the way we overcame it, Zach, is we just sort of pivoted the concept of franchising. If you think about what we're doing with our experiential learning platform, young people have full autonomy and responsibility for running their own business, and we support their effort, the goods and the bads, the highs and the lows of that. We're sort of doing franchising for college students, So like we learned a big lesson through the mediocrity of our initial foray into franchising, and then locked it much more into the mission of Saxbys of being an education and opportunity provider and providing something the world needs. The world does not need more mediocre coffee shops. The world does need businesses that are mission driven and can unlock skills that young people need in the modern workforce. And that's how we sort of pivot our business by overcoming that huge hurdle.
Wow. Great answers to all three questions. It's super appreciated. For folks that are watching, let me make sure I put your gram back up there. You can follow Nick on Instagram at nickbayer6. Of course, this is live on LinkedIn. I have him tagged underneath the video, so feel free to connect with Nick. Also to follow Saxbys. They're at Saxbys. This has been great, Nick. I really do appreciate you coming on and chatting with me and dropping some good knowledge on folks, especially my business community about that B Corp. I really want folks to get a good education on that so we can make a difference as best we can in this crazy world. But again, I appreciate you, Nick. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to leave. I'm going to let you close the show. But folks, make sure you continue to like, comment, share, even after we're live. It's all beneficial to get this information out. And I will see you next week on some more Zoomin with Zack. I think I got 2 episodes next week, so it'll be fun. Peace. Talk to you soon, Nick.
See you, Zach. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in, hearing a little bit about me, hearing a little bit about Saxbys and B Corp. It's much appreciated. And a huge shout out to our guy, Zack. For all of you, those of you that know him, he's incredibly thoughtful. He's genuine. He's a connector. He's the kind of person that you want to be able to call a friend. And those that don't, he's a great guy to reach out and get to know. But if I could do anything to support you, or you'd like to be connected to me, please hit me up at Nick Bayer on LinkedIn or nickbayer6 on Instagram. But thanks so much, and I hope you're all well.